What if everything you've been taught about Christ's message was only half the story? What if the real secret was never about punishment or sin, but about the hidden power that already lives inside you? And what if this truth was quietly buried, not to protect you, but to keep you from remembering who you really are? These are not just questions about religion, they are questions about life itself. In this video, we'll uncover the ancient wisdom known as Gnosticism, a forgotten path that speaks of inner awakening, self-knowledge, and direct connection with the divine. It teaches that every human carries a spark of the same light that created the universe. Long before temples, churches, and rules, there was only experience, people feeling the living presence of God within themselves. Over time, that living experience was replaced with systems, rituals, and fear. The story was rewritten, and the message changed from freedom to control. But what if the light never disappeared? What if it simply went underground, waiting for the right moment to rise again? Today, we live in a world full of confusion, loneliness, and endless noise. Yet deep down, something inside us still whispers, "There's more." This video isn't about rejecting faith, it's about rediscovering its original meaning, the one that calls you back to your divine spark. Stay with us until the end, because every chapter will bring you closer to understanding who you truly are and why this forgotten wisdom matters now more than ever. If you find meaning in these words, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, so together we can awaken the light that has always been yours.
There was once a time when Christ's message was simple, so simple that even a child could feel its truth. He spoke of awakening the light already living inside every heart. He didn't come to build walls of belief, but to open doors of awareness. His words were not meant to form an empire, but to remind people that the kingdom of heaven was within them. Over time, that message began to change. The soft voice of love was replaced with the voice of fear. Rules replaced understanding, and guilt replaced grace. The world began to believe that salvation was something given by others, not something awakened within. This was the moment when the light began to be forgotten, not lost, but covered by centuries of misunderstanding. In those early days, Christ's closest followers, like Mary Magdalene and Thomas, spoke of this inner light. They said that knowing God was not about following commands, but about remembering one's divine origin. But history tells us what happened next. Powerful men turned this message of freedom into systems of control. They built temples, hierarchies, and doctrines that kept people looking outward instead of inward. Fear became a tool, and obedience became the path. People began to see themselves as sinners, not sparks of the divine. Today, the same pattern still exists in another form. Many of us live in quiet fear of judgment, failure, and not being enough. We chase approval, perfection, and belonging, forgetting that what we seek is already inside us. The Gnostic view reminds us that the light was never lost. It was only forgotten under layers of noise, shame, and illusion. If you close your eyes and breathe deeply, you may feel that quiet warmth inside your chest. That is the same light Christ spoke of. It does not belong to any church, book, or name. It belongs to you. It has always belonged to you. The first step in awakening is remembering this truth. The forgotten light still lives within, waiting patiently to be seen again.
Long ago, something quiet yet powerful happened. The world turned upside down. The sacred became a system, and inner truth was replaced by outer obedience. This is what Gnostics call the Great Inversion. In the beginning, Christ's message was about awakening the divine spark inside each person. But as time passed, that truth was twisted. People were told that they needed permission to reach God, that only priests or leaders could speak for the divine. What was once a path of freedom slowly became a path of fear. The light of self-knowing dimmed under the weight of rules and expectations. The Great Inversion is not just a story from the past. It still lives inside our daily lives. Think about how easily we give our power away. We let others tell us what is good, what is right, what success should look like. We follow trends, systems, and opinions, hoping they will bring peace. But peace does not come from approval. It comes from truth. This is how the inversion continues, when we trust outside voices more than the voice of our own heart. In ancient times, the Gnostics warned that this inversion would trap the human soul in forgetfulness. They said that when people stopped trusting their inner light, they would begin to live like prisoners inside invisible walls. And isn't that what we see today? Many work hard, follow every rule, yet feel empty inside. They do not realize that the cage is made of beliefs that were never truly theirs. But there is a way back. The Gnostic path invites us to turn the world right side up again, to return to inner knowing. It means listening to silence instead of noise, and to intuition instead of fear. When you begin to trust the quiet truth inside you, the old systems lose their power. The Great Inversion unravels the moment you say, "I will listen to myself." Because within that simple act, the soul remembers what it has always known. The divine light was never out there. It has always lived within.
Inside every human being, there is a quiet battle, a struggle between light and shadow. It is not a war fought with weapons, but with choices, thoughts, and emotions. The Gnostics believed that this inner conflict is the real battlefield of life. They taught that darkness is not an outside enemy trying to destroy us, but a mirror showing what we have yet to heal and understand. Every fear, doubt, or painful memory is not here to punish us. It is here to teach us where our light still sleeps. Imagine someone who spends their whole life trying to please others. They smile when they want to cry, agree when they want to speak, and follow when their heart wants to lead. Over time, their true self begins to fade. One day, they wake up feeling empty, wondering who they really are. This is how the shadow grows. It feeds on silence, shame, and pretending. But the moment that person dares to look inside, something powerful begins to happen. The very darkness they feared becomes the path toward light. They begin to remember that their pain was never meant to destroy them. It was meant to open them. The Gnostic texts say that light and shadow are two halves of the same soul. One shows what is divine, and the other shows what is forgotten. When we deny the shadow, it controls us. But when we face it with love, it transforms. Just like night gives way to dawn, every hidden part of you can turn into wisdom when you stop running from it. So the real awakening is not escaping darkness, but embracing it. Every time you forgive yourself, every time you choose truth over fear, your light grows stronger. The shadow is not your enemy, it is your teacher. And when you stop fighting it, you find peace. The battle ends not with victory, but with understanding. The moment you see your shadow with compassion, you realize the truth the Gnostics tried to share, that even in your deepest darkness, the divine spark still burns quietly, waiting to guide you home.
There is something sacred living inside you, a quiet flame that never goes out. The Gnostics called it the divine spark, the pure peace of God that exists in every human being. It doesn't matter who you are, where you were born, or what you've done. This light cannot be taken away. It may grow dim when life becomes heavy, but it never disappears. Christ spoke of this secret when he said, "The kingdom of God is within you." He wasn't speaking about a place far away.
He was speaking about the truth that lives in your very soul. Yet in today's world, it's easy to forget this. Society constantly tells us that we are not enough, that we must look better, earn more, or prove our worth. We search outside ourselves for happiness, approval, or peace, but the more we chase it, the further it seems to go. The Gnostic path teaches that what you are seeking is not missing. It is simply hidden beneath layers of noise, fear, and doubt. The moment you pause and look within, the spark begins to glow again. Think about someone going through a hard time, a mother who works day and night, or a person who feels lost after failure. When everything falls apart, there comes a small, quiet moment when they stop running. In that stillness, they feel a warmth rise from within, a calm strength that tells them, you can stand again. That feeling is the divine spark. It is not something you create, it is something you remember. The Gnostics believed that realizing this spark was the real salvation, not through rituals, but through awakening. When you remember that you carry the same light as the stars, you begin to see life differently. You stop trying to earn love and start becoming love itself. You begin to understand that you are not broken or separate. You are divine in disguise. The spark within you is the same force that moves the sun and brings life to the world. And when you live from that truth, even the smallest act becomes sacred, and every breath becomes a prayer.
To understand why the secret teachings of Christ were hidden, we must look at how fear and control began to shape the world. In the early days, Christ's message was powerful because it gave freedom to ordinary people. He told them that they did not need priests, temples, or systems to reach God. He taught that the divine spark already lived within each heart, and that true salvation came from awakening to that light. But this message was dangerous to those who built their power on obedience. If every person could find God within, then no one could be controlled. And so, the message had to be changed. The early church, shaped by politics and authority, began to rewrite the story. They created a version of faith that needed walls, rules, and middlemen. The Gospels that spoke of inner knowledge were removed, labeled as heresy. The teachings of Mary Magdalene, who represented wisdom and equality, were silenced. The feminine side of the divine, the nurturing, intuitive, compassionate power, was erased. In its place grew an image of God that ruled through fear and judgment. Over time, people forgot that spirituality was meant to free them, not bind them. This is not just history. It still happens today. Many institutions, not only religious ones, use fear to keep people small. The world teaches us to doubt our inner truth, to follow rather than feel. We are told that answers lie in systems, experts, or authorities, but rarely in our own heart. This is the same pattern that buried the Gnostic truth long ago. Yet truth has a way of surviving. The Gnostics said that divine wisdom cannot be destroyed, it only sleeps. When even one soul begins to remember their inner light, the silence breaks. You do not need permission to awaken. You do not need a temple to meet the divine. The secret was hidden not because it was weak, but because it was too powerful. It made people free. And freedom, to those who rule through fear, is the one thing they cannot control.
There comes a moment in every soul's journey when silence speaks louder than words. It is that quiet pull inside you, the soft whisper that says, there is more to life than this. This is the call of the divine spark, the part of you that has never been lost, only forgotten. The ancient Gnostics taught that this spark is your direct link to the source, the living presence of God within you. You don't need to earn it, beg for it, or prove your worthiness. It has always been there, waiting for you to remember. The world tries to make you forget. It keeps you busy, tired, and distracted. It teaches you to look outside for meaning, toward approval, success, or even spiritual authorities who claim to hold the truth. But the Gnostic Christ said, "The kingdom of God is within you." That means everything you seek, peace, love, guidance, is already alive inside your being. When you turn inward and begin to listen, something gentle yet powerful begins to stir. You realize you are not a sinner begging for mercy, but a creator rediscovering your light. This awakening often starts as a feeling, a strange calm during pain, a sudden clarity in confusion, or a quiet joy that doesn't depend on anything outside you. That is your spark remembering itself. But awakening is not always easy. The moment you begin to look within, doubts arise. The old voice of fear whispers, "Who are you to trust yourself?" That voice is the shadow of the inversion, the same force that once silenced Christ's true message. To awaken fully, you must face that shadow with kindness, not war. You don't need to fight it. You only need to see through it. The moment you choose love instead of fear, truth instead of doubt, your spark grows brighter. Each time you listen to your heart instead of the noise of the world, you are reclaiming what was once stolen, your divine connection. The Gnostics said enlightenment is not climbing higher, it is remembering who you already are. You are the light seeking itself, the answer hiding in the question, the divine looking through human eyes. When this truth sinks in, you no longer chase the light. You realize you have always been it.
At the end of every search, there comes a simple truth. You were never truly lost. The Gnostics said that awakening is not about finding something new. It is about remembering what you have always been. The divine spark that burns within you has never left your side, even in your darkest nights. It is the silent companion that watched you fall and rise, forget and remember, doubt and believe again. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every quiet moment of longing has been guiding you back to yourself. We live in a world that constantly tells us who to be, how to look, what to think, what success means. These are the voices of the outer world, the echo of the same inversion that once turned Christ's message outward. But beneath all that noise, a softer voice still calls you home. It is the same voice that Christ spoke of when he said, "You are the light of the world." When you stop running from it and finally listen, life begins to shift. You realize that awakening is not about escaping the world, but seeing it with new eyes. Every moment becomes a lesson, pain becomes a teacher, doubt becomes a doorway. Even the mistakes you thought broke you are part of your return. The Gnostics thought that the fall of man was not a curse. It was the soul's descent into forgetfulness, so that one day it could awaken and know its true power. You are not here to obey blindly or wait for salvation. You are here to create, to love, and to remember your connection to everything that exists. As you begin to live from this knowing, you will feel lighter. Fear loses its hold because you no longer see yourself as separate from the divine. You stop searching for the light in temples or books. You start living it. This remembrance is not a final step. It is the beginning of a new way of being. The Gnostic path is not about belief. It is about experience, about letting truth rise naturally from within you. When you honor that voice, when you walk with awareness, the world no longer controls you. You become the living reflection of the light that never left. And in that moment, you finally remember, you are, and always have been, the truth you were searching for.
As this journey comes to an end, take a deep breath and let the message settle in your heart. The truth is simple. You were never separated from the divine. You were only taught to forget it.
For thousands of years, people have searched for meaning in temples, rules, and books, believing that salvation lives somewhere far away. But the secret Christ tried to share, and the Gnostics fought to protect, is that the light you seek has always been inside you. It has never left. When you quiet your mind and listen closely, you begin to feel it. Gentle, steady, alive. It speaks not in words, but in peace. It guides you through love, not fear. The world may still try to distract you, to make you believe that power lies outside, in systems, leaders, or things you must earn. But now you know the truth. The real temple is your own heart, and the real prayer is awareness of who you are. Every challenge you face is not a punishment, but a reminder to return to that inner knowing. Every time you choose love over fear, truth over comfort, awareness over reaction, you polish the mirror of your soul a little more. The clearer it becomes, the brighter your light shines. Remember, awakening does not mean leaving life behind. It means living it fully, with open eyes and a clear heart. The teachings of Christ were not meant to bind you, but to free you, to remind you that you are both human and divine, both student and source. The Gnostics called this state knowing, but it is more than a word. It is a way of being. So as you go forward, carry this truth quietly. You are not walking toward the light, you are the light. And that light, once remembered, can never be taken away again.